They didn't remove
This
part of my
meeting to
brain.
order. We do have a quorum, so we can have a meeting. Is there anybody that was supposed to speak during the public comments that had signed up? Seeing none, we'll close that section and get into our main agenda, which is discussing the applicants for today. And Craig, you're going to run a spreadsheet for us as we discuss this?
Yep.
I would like to bring up something real quick and see what the consensus is to any of the applicants that received 2 or more no votes, to eliminate them from the funding request today in order to concentrate on the ones that were 100% yes or 1 no. And I don't know if we need a vote on that or if we want to discuss that, or...
I'll just add to that. Excluding those, we need to make adjustments of about $49,000 off the available funding for everything that's above, or doesn't have 2 or more no votes. So, given that we have to make 40,000
Cut.
cuts, eliminating those, keeps us at least at that number. If we add any back in there, it just means we have to make more cuts. We have to also, as you can see up on the board there, Mike Cursor, yeah, you can. So that's how much we'll need to cut out of the total amount from based on what's available. And then we'll need to make some small adjustments in the categories here to switch those around as well.
You can see that. What is the final amount?
There you go.
How's that? Did that get a little bit better?
64.
So the final amount's $364,952. Those that received not more than less than 2 no votes from the committee total out to $414,284. So right around a little bit more than $49,000 we'll have to make adjustments for.
We got that memo from you.
Yeah. And then, like I said, some of the categories we'll need to make some adjustments in there. There he is.
There he is.
Firmly.
So, do we need to...
Do we discuss, or how do we jump into this?
Yeah, do we need to worry about the 2 or more no votes, or...
That's a consensus. I think we're fine. We can go forward. At the end of the day, what we'll do is the committee will come up with a recommendation to pass on to the board. So just those that are recommended. So if we just discuss ones that have less than 2 no votes, then we can keep going.
Ronnie, what I had brought up is if 2 or more no votes, not considering them for funding, and just deal with the 100% yeses and the one that only had 1 no in order to... Sounds like we have a consensus.
Consensus.
Yeah. All right. My thoughts were to start with the 10% one, which would be the lowest amount, and end with the other, which has the most applicants. If that's, or if we want to go down the whole list, but that was just my thoughts to keep it simple.
Yeah, that's fine. There's no best way to do it. We just have to come out with those that are categorized as 1, and if you look at this chart, I've got them categorized. I'll have to make it a little bit smaller to get everybody in there.
I wish we had a copy of that.
Do you want a copy of that?
This one, you probably don't.
I wish we did.
What is category 1?
Yeah.
Category 1 is the category for community safety and victims.
Okay, well,
Okay, yeah.
We'll then we can just start with that one since you've already got it made that way. Is everybody fine with just starting with that one then, since you've already got it in that order?
So that's these 5. And we need to find $20,000 out of these 5. So the requested amount and the recommended amount are shown on there.
I've got a question prior to any of this,
Okay?
and that is, on the sheets that I was provided, that we were provided as a committee, and I won't talk about the ones that are, there's several that were no vote, double no vote, so we won't talk about that, but in the category of all yeses, there were 3 situations where the amount requested, and I'll just start with the Boys and Girls Club, that's the first one on my list here. Boys and Girls Club of Rutherford County, Project Learn. They requested $25,000. They received all yeses, unanimous from the committee. However, one of the recommended supporting numbers was $30,000, which is, somebody on this committee recommended more than what they were asking for.
So when I did the average amount, I only did it based on what they asked for. So I didn't average it based
Okay.
on the 30,000. I averaged it based on the request.
Okay.
So the average, the recommended funding average doesn't include
I
more
would
than
think
what they
maybe in the
requested.
future, if we could set up something in the program that would kick, you couldn't, I mean, why would one of us recommend more than what the actual organization's asking for, if that's all they're asking for?
Yeah, and that was really just a cursory question on your evaluation form.
Okay.
But we can certainly set up that recommendation, that a little bit differently.
Good deal, but that's not part of that won't average the, what you're saying is that won't take
Increase,
the
yeah,
recommended amount up.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. On the community and safety victims,
That other one.
we had to cut $20,802
Right.
off of the request. I worked on formulas left and right, and then trying to figure it all out, and then I just said, why don't I just keep it simple and divide it by 5 and take it off each one, and that's what I did. And I came up with a number on every one of them, and I don't know how everybody else is coming up with their numbers.
Well, the only problem with that, when you do that, that'll be punitive to the ones who
Yeah.
ask for the least and non-punitive to the ones who ask for the most.
Exactly. And then I ran some percentages of the, like the top, the 90, if you scored 95 or higher, I only deducted, I did a formula where you took 5% off of their, of the 20,000. And so I just deducted that amount off there. But then the 80 to 85% was made it 50% because I did 10 or 5, 10. I made it 100%. It took almost half the money away from the 80 to 85% people. It was almost like you're making a donation. I mean, you're giving them $4,000 or something. So I don't know the right answer.
There's a formula in Excel where you can just put in there weighted average. I'm not a computer whiz, but I know some people who are.
I mean, I wouldn't attempt to do, I don't like to do spreadsheets in front of everybody because
No, but you know what
always
I'm
but I can do that.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're
That's just
talking
a fair-
about.
To me, that'd be the fair way to do it, completely.
Yeah, so weighted average based off of what is been recommended
Yeah.
and then to split the money based on a weighted average to come up with to get to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's
can
what
do
I
that.
was trying to do with my percentage,
Yeah.
but it was just not working.
I know.
Yeah.
That's going to drop
We
20.
needed a lot more money.
Right.
Okay. We can certainly calculate that.
Okay,
So that
so-
would get that to 0. And let's see.
So are we going to vote on these?
That's what I was trying to figure out. If the higher ones didn't cut so much, and the lower ones could, but it was cutting way too much. I couldn't figure the. I paid her to do that. My son.
That's why
right.
you cheated.
So that's,
0.5% drop. Do that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups.
Take it out.
See, and then the 3 group, when was it? The first category, or the health category was only three people, I think. And, that was just a lot.
So how are we going to decrease them
Weighted average.
on all of them?
Yeah.
on all of number ones.
All the number ones by that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that would basically zero out the request, or the amount that's needed to adjust for community safety and victims. We'd still need to make $28,500 in adjustments.
On others.
Well, at least 10,000 of that, 10,400 needs to come from education and youth services. So health-related services is fine. So number 2, the category for number 2, health-related services, which are these 3, don't need to be adjusted unless you want to.
You're talking about, number 2 is
Category
health.
2.
Interfaith, Second Harvest, Hope Clinic.
Right. Fine, unless you want to make any adjustments on there, because you're under the amount that's the
Correct.
limit.
Right.
And then these categories still need to have 10,400 of adjustments. And then
Wait a minute, this is the next one.
Now you're on category 3?
Yeah, that's
category 3, which is
education.
education and youth services.
Goes through what? Read to Succeed. Okay, I'm with you, I'm with you.
Read to Succeed. So those all need to total out $10,420 less, the limit on that.
2,400. Okay,
You could,
adjust
do
that.
the same formula.
About 3.
Yeah. And weighted average deductions.
That's just the average.
That, and we would still have an adjustment that needs to be made.
How much?
See, that's,
Real quick, give us the 4 categories as they pertain to their numbers.
I was getting,
Like number 1.
The sheet you just got handed,
Oh,
if you look on that,
1.
yeah, I got it. Okay, right here, community.
Say 1s and 2s,
Here's the category, that's right.
and there's the categories.
like, I was trying to, all right, 95,
Yeah.
just deduct 10% of that. All right, and so.
about another 18,000 to come out of
I
other.
got down to these 80.
So the other would be, all right, so then the education would run for the city schools and that, we just did that one.
To read to
Other are
Succeed,
the 4s and that would be the rest.
That's divided.
18,000 would come out,
you need another
But the
18,000
weighted
to
thing
come out
may
of it.
work
another 18, but there's a whole
on
bunch
their
of
own.
them.
There's a whole bunch of them.
Yes.
Average, on the average.
15.
Some of them are asking for a timeline. Right.
I mean, I said we be consistent all the way through,
Yeah.
whether there's a bunch or none.
Make for a short meeting.
That's the way I like it. Okay,
That's up to,
so did we, are we under the consensus of the weighted deal, like Wade was saying? And you can punch the numbers in and spit them out?
what do you
Do the
think about that?
calculation.
Lyle,
Ma'am?
what do you think about that?
Well, I was going to say, I hope y'all had the same experience. When I received from Karen the spreadsheet, I compared that to what my recommendations were. And we seem to be of like mind because I didn't differ much at all. And the ones that did differ, I can kind of see the issue. So I'm not coming in here saying, no, I need to fight for this particular group and we need to hammer this out. And I'm pleasantly surprised that I wasn't. You know?
Same here. Mine, when I ran mine, they were very close to Karen's averages. Now, I started at 80%, Karen, instead of 85. When I was in school, I strived for an 80. That was, so I started a little lower on the bar.
And then Hinkle can't do math. I think this is, we're in the low group.
I can tell you were an overachiever.
I'll jump in to say Karen's an overachiever in a lot of ways and has done a fantastic job putting this together.
Yeah.
I also want to say you guys as a committee did a lot of work and gave us lots to work with. You could tell how much time through the software piece and how much diligence that each one of you put in, including the two that aren't here today. You all have done an excellent job reviewing and carefully considering all the applicants.
Well, the spreadsheet you prepared has saved us, in my opinion, hours and hours of, no doubt about it, figuring this stuff out, because we're already kind of on the same page of the weighted average, and it kind of was pretty close.
If there's a shortfall in the funds, it's not any of, no one's done anything wrong. It just needs to be spread out equally per the amount either requested or recommended.
So you just straight down the board.
We got to pick one category. Are we going to weight it average off of what was recommended or what they requested? And can you do it off recommended?
Weighted average off a recommended, sure.
That's what I would think.
Well, you would have to.
But the shortfall is not
No, you
on.
could do the either or, but that's
Yeah,
what.
you can do it off of what they requested, but recommended's probably, since everybody's already vetted it and thought about what they would give, I think recommended is probably the best way to do it.
Was the $20,000 shortfall based on the average recommended, or was it based on the request?
It was recommended.
Was it? Okay.
Recommended, yeah.
Did you think we were going to have a little bit more money in the 364?
No, I forgot what we did last year. That was pretty comparable to what we did last year.
This is more.
It is a little bit more than what we did last year. I will tell you, next year, it all depends on the returns, and there's no way to predict what that's going to be. It may drop a slight amount because we do have to factor in there some additional fees for next year. If the market stays up and our investments pay off, you may not see it and it may be higher. But if all of our assumptions carry forward into the next year, it may be slightly lower and, just a few $1,000s, not a lot. But we'll have additional fees next year that we didn't have this year. The other little wrinkle in there is we have that 2,182. If we want to get to zero, we can take that 2,182 that you'll see under health-related services that's available because we didn't distribute it in category 2 for health-related services, and we can add that into other. We can use the same weighted average kind of formula to put that in there if that's okay with you. Yeah, and then what will happen is that the total amount distributed then will equal the total amount available. So, or we could just not worry about the 2,182 and that would stay in the
Why
trust.
can't we put it in the health care? Why can't we put it back in?
Now, you can't put it in the education because we're going to get to zero.
I mean, but can't you do health?
You could. Yeah, we could take the weighted average and add it into everybody that's got a health-related, I think it was 3, wasn't it?
Might be best to keep it clean like that.
Yeah, you could either put it in health or you can put it in the other, either way. Because the other doesn't have a cap on it, so you can put anything you want in there. But yeah, we could do that. If that's,
We're shooting at a moving target that we're a couple months away from knowing what that final, how big that pie is exactly.
no, we know. It was December 31st. That number that, you mean the total amount of distribution?
Number.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard number as of December 31st.
Thank you.
Yeah. I say we set a precedent, clean it,
Me too.
bring it to zero balance, and
So that 2,182, which is the amount that's available, do you want to put it back into the health-related services category?
Or
Both.
what
Or
else?
into
it's just gonna be $100 or whatever per organization.
Wait a minute. We
It
could
is.
do health and what else?
Other,
Other.
we could do that.
Just whatever category has met their.
Yeah, that's the precedent you're talking about, is
Yeah.
whatever it's
Yeah,
not
just-
funded totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
There's
we did
no questions.
if we did it for everybody.
But just the categories that have met their.
Right. Yeah, so we can do health-related services and the other category and just divide it up amongst their weighted average.
$50 or whatever, but at least
1,
it's
2,
clean and
3,
it's down
4,
to zero.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
We'll also need to cap with Primary Care and Hope Clinic, the recommended amount was very close to the ask amount, and so it would put them over their ask.
That's right.
Cap it as well.
Yep.
It might,
I only know that because I'm sitting next to Jennifer.
Might not be,
the
but.
weighted average in your head real fast, is that
Might
what
not
you're
be.
saying?
I've already
As a-
calculated it for
I'm
everybody.
sitting next to a person who maths.
Surround yourself with good people.
But as a rule,
I would have done that, but I'm not
as a
doing
rule, that might be in our ground rules for years to follow. That if that were to happen, that you cap it at the, if, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need
And go
to, we need to
over.
be doing these ground rules as we go here.
Yeah, no, that's a good rule. Go
So
over the ask.
with the weighted average for that one, it takes it to 10,391. The additional 391, is it the committee's consensus that that goes to the other category?
Yeah.
Or is it the committee's consensus that that 391 be divided between the other two recipients within the health category?
Question.
So that it stays within health and health maxes out to the 36,000?
I'd say put it in the pool since we're not discriminating to begin with on the first round of dividing it up.
So they'll get the allocation out of that $2,000 plus to their cap, and then the money goes back in the pool and just gets reallocated. So we'll build that formula real quick. No, we'll do it offline.
It's quick.
So do we, can we, all right, so we're done with 1 and done with 2, and we're ready for 3?
Well, 3, we were going to do, I thought we were going to do the weighted average as well, unless someone's got a specific one.
The weighted average.
And then other, we don't have to worry about, because that's going to, it doesn't have a cap.
Do we need to say, these are the people that are getting it, we're going to run the weighted average in these categories?
To see what the number looks like? Mm-hmm. Jennifer did it, although we gave her a little formalistic problem to solve over there, but
Can she cast her? No, probably not.
it will generally be pretty close to the, I mean, we're dividing up relatively small amounts.
That's right.
But you see how the recommended is going to be pretty close to what
Pretty
they get.
close.
You'll get a final tally. So we'll distribute a final tally via email, so you'll all get that. And so then that'll be the recommendation from the committee, if you guys vote on it this afternoon, that will go to the trust board in the next, tomorrow.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it's our next meeting. Go to the trust board tomorrow, and they'll take a look at it. It'll go to council, and then once we're past that, we'll come back and we'll work on distribution.
So
Then,
the most that we gave away was what? Domestic violence?
The highest number, well,
Men's closet. Liberty Station.
my cursor. Just working off the recommended without recalculating, yeah, domestic violence program got the highest, then Journey Home, Greenhouse Discovery. I just lined it up based on recommended amounts up there.
Thank you.
Why Journey Home got it?
Yeah.
Make it a little bigger.
And then the Liberty Station, I wish you'd just use Liberty Station and not Amelia's Closet.
Craig, are we ready to vote on these people? And then the amounts are going to be the weighted average that you're going to run for us.
Right.
Well, let's just start with the category of community safety and victim services. If you want to sort that by number 1. The ones that are highlighted there. Do I have a motion to approve funding for these 5 applicants?
So moved.
Second?
Take the roll.
Mr. Hayes?
Aye.
Ms. Lynn?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Okay.
Number 2, Health-related services. We have 3 applicants. I need a motion to approve these 3 applicants.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hayes?
Aye.
Ms. Lynn?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye. Category 3 there, which is Education and Youth Services. We have 7 applicants. Do I have a motion to approve these 7 applicants?
So moved.
We waiting on a second. Second.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hayes?
Aye.
Ms. Lynn? Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye. Then our final category is Other, and how many we got there? Count 1, 2, 3, 4,
10, 12, 14, 15?
15.
Other asked for a lot.
Under the Other category, we have 15 applicants. Do I have a motion to approve these 15 applicants?
So moved.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hayes?
Aye.
Ms. Lynn?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Montgomery?
Aye.
Okay, so you will send an email with all the adjustments.
Yeah, we'll make all the adjustments, send you the final.
The number, but wait, on the weighted deal that we,
Phone number given.
Okay. We'll balance everything out.
So what we have done is approved the funding based on our scoring, adjusted to the limitations set forth by the committee, and we have not made exceptions.
that's correct.
It's good.
Well, we will get calls,
That's okay.
and that's what they will
I
hear
can stand
then.
by every one that I voted on.
So say we, all of us, then, because we,
Everything that was unanimous also, right? That there was unanimous consent for, because there was no,
Right.
we voted against
That's
this.
correct.
so we've stuck by what we stuck by using the spreadsheets in a very analytical way of evaluating everyone and every program based upon their submittal information.
Correct. Absolutely.
Good deal. Because there's quite a few here that are getting 0, and like I say, we will get calls.
It's inevitable.
Okay. That's what they'll hear.
But there's some, they didn't meet the criteria.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
There were a few that, like one category specifically was collaborations, partnerships. That I knew had worked with other organizations, but they didn't put any down. And that hurt their score. I don't know what we can do about that. It's not in our
Well,
hands.
I made lots of notes doing this, and I hope everybody did, because I think we can tighten this up. I watched the Zoom meeting a couple days ago, whatever it was, and the lady from Indiana, I think, that does the grants, was like, if it's under $25,000, it needs to be super simple. You don't need it super complicated. And they're getting up there to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000. Yes, you may need to get a lot more deep into their stuff, but it was kind of eye-opening to that, and I thought it was very informative. There's a lot of people that were chiming in. It seemed like, were you on there, Karen?
Was that one of the founding trainees?
Just recently, and the question I had, and somebody popped it in there, well, how do you know what's a reasonable amount to make it simple? And she threw out $25,000. I thought that was interesting.
What was it?
But I think one of the things that we need to work on in the coming year is the category thing. That was one of the things that I struggled with the most.
Yes, I
Trying to
concur.
figure out a category for whatever. It's just,
Well, can we make the application form, have them categorize themselves into?
Yeah, I don't want to have to guess what category you're in. If it's kind of
It's only great
ambiguous or, you know, if you've got an organization that does one thing, but your project is doing something that doesn't match up with your,
And we looked through that criteria pretty seriously as well in trying
Yeah,
to make
right.
sure that they match. So that some of that's a staff level, because you are having to comply with the trust agreement. Those.
which is fine. I don't mind compliance. I don't want to be the guy that guesses. Right. Hey, what's your organization think it's doing?
Well, because your percentage is a lot lower in health
Right.
than it is in other. You know, there's more money. There's more money to get because
It's more,
everybody, if they had it, you know, they might pick other. There needs to be some way of knowing. I don't really know how you know, but
Well, I think familiarity with the organization itself, and then have the description of the program, because really if you're going to fund a program, you have to know what that program's going to do. The organization has to meet the criteria, and then, you know, what are you going to use the money for? And then as we go forward, we'll have some feedback on accountability and how well it was done and things like that. And that might shift them even in a category, because if they have a program that has a couple of different categories they meet, and they really focus on one, we're going to say, well, next time when you go out, you're going to fit into this category, because your program's not really focused on that other category.
that's right.
So I think it's going to be a yearly thing that staff will have a lot of input into, and kind of give some guidance. And then if you have any other opinions, obviously we'll meet as a committee and see where it needs to fit.
And Karen, I think in that meeting they talked about getting the feedback from the applicants on what they like, and I think that would be probably great for us on this very first one where we were trying to figure out their questions. You know, I think it would be good if any of them would, but it may be like leaving a review for something. I never leave it. I mean, you may not get anything back, or you get a few back and it skews what it really is. I don't know.
Yeah, and kind of that same vein, I would be interested in hearing from you guys on, did the questions provide enough information for you to effectively evaluate the organization? Would there be different questions you would want to see? Would there be, how would you want to tweak the application while that's still kind of fresh on your mind? And then to move into the evaluation process, was there something you would like to see differently with that? Different questions on the evaluation form or things along that nature. And then the other thing that I need you guys to be thinking about is our next steps, which would be our reporting. So we've identified that we would do a mid-year report and an end-of-year report. So what kind of information would be helpful for you to know that the organizations are on track or doing what they intended to do? And how in-depth would you want a mid-year report versus an end-of-year report? So what are you looking to know from the organizations?
Very good.
So what is our next step, Craig, as far as do we go take the trustees a check? Or what do we do?
it'll take us a long time.
Trying to get to the closing table, right?
Yeah, you might, that's it.
I'm trying to close the deal.
No, I think from a committee standpoint for this next funding round, I think the committee's is done. The only thing that might come up is if something gets rejected, and I don't anticipate any of these would, and it would come back, and the board could ask the committee to consider a grant somewhere else, or how to reallocate the money or something along those lines. In the future, there's more possibility of that, because there'll be a lot more money.
Right.
Several years from now, there'll be a lot more money that's being allocated. So I think this is a good start on the process, and as Wade said, to make sure that we are getting the criteria down pretty solid, because when you get down and you're allocating $1.3 million,
Right.
there's going to be a lot more discussions.
Yes. I agree. But this particular funding funded more applicants than the city normally would have done. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. That's good.
The number of funded applicants and in a total amount.
Okay, well, that's good.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think we need to be as commended as the city of Murfreesboro for allowing this to happen. This is outstanding, that our town, our city is providing a way for these organizations to get money on a fair, level playing field without, a bunch of politics involved and, buddy systems and that have always occurred in different places. And, I mean, this is just fantastic, in my opinion, what we're doing here.
I think it's a great step. Yeah.
People ought to be pretty happy.
Yep.
I'm glad that we all were kind of same page, that we
Yeah,
didn't have
yeah.
a big one outlier.
Right.
If John were here, it could be
Is there any other business
If
to,
John were here, maybe.
before this committee?
Maybe what's next?
Yep. Would be our next meetings?
Or meeting and the agenda and what to do
Yeah.
next.
I think the one thing that would, whoever on making the agenda would be discussing changes to the application or different things like that. That would be what I think we should start with.
And doing it in a relatively short period of time so everybody's got in their mind what
Yes.
they went through. So sometime in February would probably be best to do that.
So next year, when the money comes in next year, when would we start the process again? Since we've gone through all the charts.
When we had talked before, I made you a promise not to bring you through another 4-hour workshop in preparation. So I think we've got that one out of the way.
Yeah.
So what month are we talking about? Was that in August?
So if you guys are good with sticking to an October grant application period, we can follow the same timeline. So it would open up in October. We have a little less pre-work to do because we've established the process and the grant application. So you guys wouldn't need to be involved in that piece of it. We could open it in October and then use November and December for the review period, and so follow the same time frame if you guys are good with that.
I see on here, Craig, on the very first page when we talked about the $49,000, it says 2024 grant funding. Well, this money actually was from 2023 and the work we did, right?
Right.
And so now we're into 2024 money and
That's the disbursement will be in 2024, so that's
right.
It
That's
ends
what it is.
December 31st, is when you.
Right. And so these organizations, if approved by the trust, will get their funding pretty quick?
July.
It'll be after July 1.
July, okay, so it kind of really is 2024, what we just did.
Yeah. And that was made known to the applicants throughout the process.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I'm trying to do a cut, are we in 24 or 25, or 23 with what we just did?
That'll drive you nuts trying to figure all that out. But the only exception may be in future years, not this year necessarily, is that there may be a program or something that doesn't start right away. And so leaving the money in the trust has the advantage of letting it earn a little bit longer for the next.
Where I was going with that is, could we see some results to the fruits of our labor here? But if they're not getting the money till July, then we won't see those till about this time next year,
We
probably.
won't get a mid-year report until after we've already done our scoring for next year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, on how it's gone. Yeah, that's true. So I think the next meeting probably is to get some feedback on the process itself, and then maybe look at a meeting in like early fall. Consider a meeting then, just in case there's been any changes, anything that's come up, different things in preparation for the next round of grant in October, opening the grant application up in October. So sometime late fall, early September maybe, think about another meeting. And we'll see. It may not be fruitful and we may not do it, but it might be, worth considering at least around that time frame.
Okay. Karen, if it's possible to send a message out to every applicant and just get their feedback before we have our meeting. I mean, we may have half of them, may have a few of them give us, it might help us while we're trying to tighten it up.
And
I
one
know
more.
if it's, I mean, it was 45 applicants, and that was like a full-time job for me.
Every
And so
night.
if it's 100 applicants, I mean, I wish we could, definitely streamline it a little better.
Any other thing is, could we get a final recap of what each category, organization, and what they're
Yeah.
Yes.
likely, okay?
Yeah, no, we'll get a final tally with all the organizations and the math.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Perfect.
We'll send that out.
yeah, you bet. One of us.
Anything else? Lyle, you got anything?
Is that it?
Good to me.
I thought we'd be here till 6.
No.
Yeah.
I'll be fine with you.
If there's nothing else, we stand adjourned.
Wow.